But for now, let's cross into Sydney and catch up with the New South Wales Water Minister, Melinda Pavey. Thanks for joining us, Melinda, because there's other stuff going on outside of the realm of the coronavirus pandemic. And wonderful news today, given all the rains in the past couple of days. The Darling flowing again all the way down to the Murray.
Yeah, beautiful sight that is, going through Pooncarie and Wentworth over the Easter weekend. That was a great boost to those local communities who love their waterways as much as anybody, and seeing their kids and photos of Easter hunts alongside a river that was finally flowing. Really positive news. It's certainly going to help the situation and lift spirits. It's been, you know, a very, very dry 3 years, and the rains that we've had over the past 3 months, it just reminds us it can rain. But, you know, those rains were now almost like 6 weeks ago. It shows you how long they do take to get down to the communities.
Yeah, these areas...
Very, very welcome relief.
Yeah, those areas have been hit very badly. Of course, the Darling reduced to a series of ponds. We've had those over the past couple of years, number of big fish kills there. So with the rains getting through, can you say that in that part of the country the drought has definitely broken now?
Look, we've got 400 gigalitres in the Menindee Lakes. You know, it could take twice that amount. It's just one day at a time, in essence. So we've got to manage that water very carefully. We don't want to be back quickly in a situation where we do see those lakes drying up and causing the trauma that it did cause. And, you know, that's why, and listening to you talk to the Prime Minister, it is important that we show the leadership. We have good conversations amongst our other states like South Australia and Victoria and the Commonwealth to talk about, you know, what we need to do to ensure that our communities can keep water, that we can continue to irrigate. And one of the challenges that the Deputy Premier and I, John Barilaro, know is that we are now facing 3 years of no general security allocations for the Murrumbidgee and the Murray. That is a very concerning situation, especially when we read that Thailand and Vietnam aren't going to be exporting rice. We need to give our farmers the opportunity to grow product, support our dairy farmers, to ensure that those towns and those communities have a strong future going forward. Because whilst the rains have been great, they've been a bit hit and miss in some patches. They really haven't, you know, filled up our catchments to a point in regional New South Wales that we need. For example, Bathurst. Great old Bathurst, the Ben Chifley Dam hasn't had a good rain and fall into it since 2016. It's now at 29.5%. So we are looking at major catastrophe situation in October if we don't have some rains there. So I just highlight that. Whilst there's beautiful news and that vision of that water coming down the Darling is brilliant, there are still major challenges along the Murrumbidgee and the Murray, as well as big dams like Burrendong and Chifley supplying the Bathurst community, and Chaffey and Keep It up around Tamworth. So we're not taking our eye off the ball, and pleased to also report that we'll be giving a lot of paperwork to the Commonwealth Environment Department in coming days in relation to the 3 dams that we want to build in New South Wales. So whilst a lot of my colleagues are full with their business dealing with what COVID is doing, we haven't taken our foot off the throttle in relation to getting those dams built and dealing with the critical shortages that we've got in some of our communities.
So we need more rain. We need some rain in specific areas to fill other dams. All this is going ahead. But you're also saying you're pushing the federal government through the authority, presumably, to give additional irrigation allocations in New South Wales so people can get cracking and grow more crops.
Yeah, we've given a lot of water to the environment during this drought, and, you know, there were lessons learnt from the Millennium Drought when we saw dreadful scenes in South Australia, particularly in those lower lakes. It was a wake-up point for the country. But we've also given something like 400,000 megalitres of water during this drought to South Australia. So what we're saying is let's just have a look at what water there is available for the environment. We want to keep everything running, of course, but we also need to acknowledge that a lot of dairy farmers, a lot of rice growers, a lot of farmers were even just wanting to produce hay, have been really challenged. They've had no general security allocations, and I think we need to address that, having 3 years in a row. We've never been in that situation before, and I think it does require that leadership at a federal level to at least have a conversation about that before spring, so that we can actually address that if we can. And that's my challenge and the Deputy Premier's challenge to the Commonwealth. I've got to say that the Federal Water Minister, Keith Pitt, is always up for those type of conversations. He's been, very welcoming and very across his brief in a very short time. So, I'm hopeful that we can have those type of conversations. Yeah,
let's hope that can be sorted. There's one thing that's going in our favour. We need to get out of this coronavirus imposed economic slump as quickly as we can. I suppose one thing that might be working in our favour when you look to spring and the end of this year is that we could be coming out of drought across the eastern seaboard, and we could have a lot more money flowing through some of those rural and regional communities.
That's right. And look, it's not about necessarily food security for Australia. We are very secure. Normally we export 70% of what we grow, but what we do need is security for those towns and those small businesses in the towns and the farmers, and to generate wealth and opportunity, to get the economy kicking and also being able to be part of the export chain. That is what we are good at. We're the world's best farmers and we need to be able to produce those goods. And let's have a conversation. We've been in drought for a long time. We've given good allocations to the environment over the last couple of years. I think we may need to just look at how we address this for this third year in a row that could see the end of some of our towns and our communities and our farmers. We don't want that situation to be. We've got to look at some innovation and some solutions with the leadership of water across the country at the table.
Melinda, thanks for joining us.
No worries, Chris.
Melinda Pavey there, the New South Wales Water Minister, on the push there from New South Wales to get their hands on some more irrigation water now to crank things up as we get through this winter into the spring.